Hello and welcome to Olivia Rose Floral Designs. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a floral display which you can attach to an empty wall or a church pillar just to give a large space a beautiful finishing touch. Let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing you do before you soak your oasis, because you do not want to waste a whole block, is take your plastic spade. And these come in packs of about 10 or 25 or however many you need, and they are just a plastic tray, again by Oasis, with this hole on top of the handle so you can hook them up. These are amazing for hiding ugly spaces, hanging on pillars in churches or gates or entrances of buildings. They can be as big as small as you like. So we take our spade, we get our blocks of Oasis and we simply pop it in. So again, the Oasis sits in the bottom of the tray on those ridges, so nice and secure. So once you've decided how big you want your arrangement, then decide how much Oasis you need. So the larger the bouquet, the higher the Oasis. So I'm probably going to do a medium one, which is probably going to come to about here, and like so. So I'm going to probably chop my Oasis like that to about there. Okay, so I'm just going to go and soak this and I'll be back in 2 ticks. So I've now soaked my Oasis and I'm going to pop it back in my tray like so, and then you need to tape it. Because you're going to be hanging it, you need to make sure it's secure, otherwise it will all collapse and fall out. Okay, so now your Oasis is taped securely into your tray. We're going to start with the foliage. So you can buy various types of foliage from your florist, or you can go foraging depending on the type of display that you require. So today I'm using some eucalyptus and some ivy. And I also have some other types of foliage which I'm going to be adding in between. So first of all, I'm going to use some green foliage, and again just make sure all the leaves look good and okay, and the stem is as straight as you can be. So what you need to now do is engage how big you would like your display. So I'm just going to cut this and insert it at the base of my tray like so. And this will tell me how long from the tray my display will go to. I'm then going to take another piece, and again just take off any leaves that you don't like the look of. They're quite sturdy, you can bend these, and then I'm just going to pop that in on top like so. Okay, so now you've got your 2 main pieces. You're going to start by adding the pieces in at the sides. So again, you take your foliage and you pop it in. So it's almost like a cross. You've got your bottom piece, which is the longest, then you've got your top, and then your 2 side pieces, and it should then look like this. So this is just a guidance on the shape and the size. So this is the biggest that it's going to get. From there, I just take a few more pieces of foliage and I just dot them in around the corners like so. And I take these slightly higher, I don't add them in around the base of the tray. So one there. And then one more piece just here. And this is all I'm going to use of this type of foliage, maybe a couple of pieces in the middle towards the end. So your tray now looks like this. Okay, so my main flower today is going to be roses. So I'm first of all going to add a rose in the top. So I'm going to take off any guard petals that I don't like the look of, and just blow in the rose, and that will open up this centerpiece, which will give you the perfect rose. So you want to make sure the higher the display, the more foliage and flowers you're going to use. So you need to think about where this display is going to be sat. And obviously because you have the wires, you need to manoeuvre them slightly. So that's a little bit long, I think. Like so. Okay, so that's it. So you have your guidance flower at the top, and then I'm going to add some others around the sides. You also have to remember, the more stems you put in this oasis, the more crammed it is, and they can move around the display. So what I'm going to do here is add my next roses in. That one's a bit short actually, around the edges. So I'm going to try and mirror the length of the initial foliage that you added. So you want to make sure you have enough stem in the oasis, but not too much that you overcrowd. So I simply take my rose, see where I want it placed against the foliage, lay it on the oasis, and then I know to just snip it here. So then when I add this in, it's got enough of there in there to be secure, but it's not taking up too much space in your oasis. And I'm going to do the same here. And always cut your stems at an angle, because it just gives the stem more room to drink up the water in the oasis. Get the leaves off this one, and I'm going to do the same this side. And then one more rose, taking off some of these guard petals. Again, this doesn't damage the rose, it just removes all the uglier green or brown ones around the edge. Compare it to the foliage and measure it, and then snip it. And just add that in up here. Okay, so now it's starting to come together. So we have our 5 main roses, and you can turn them and adjust them accordingly until you're happy with the position. And I'm now going to add some eucalyptus. So again, this is quite a large eucalyptus, and I just think it's a nice contrast against the darker foliage with the cream roses. So I'm simply going to snip some pieces off and just add them around the bottom, but not as far down as my initial foliage. So I'm just going to randomly place them around on top of the other foliage, but not overpowering or covering it up completely. This one at the top, like so. So it's kind of layering the different textures and flowers. Just go over here. Again, you can tuck a couple of bigger leaves underneath the rose, just to give it that variety. So I'm also going to add a couple of pieces on top, either side of my main top rose. So I'll take that leaf off there, maybe cut that a little bit shorter, and then just pop it in. Because you saw then when I added it, it moved the rose, so you have to be really careful when adding stems. Okay, so this is now what the display looks like. So I'm going to hold it up again, but the more flowers you put in, the more water that's coming out of this oasis, which is why I've got my board here. Okay, so that's what it now looks like. So I'm going to add a couple more roses, and they are just going to be on the corners like this. And I'm only going to add 2, I'm not going to add these to each corner. And the reason for this is we've got other flowers that we're adding to the display. Okay. So now we have these in, I'm going to go ahead and add some of this really beautiful wax flower. Okay, and again I'm going to add some to the length. So I'm going to add them on top of this rose, between the two roses and the eucalyptus, just so it nestles there nicely. I'm going to do the same for the top. And again, as always, compare it to the length of your oasis and where you want it to sit. And simply add it. Again, so between the eucalyptus and the roses and its top eucalyptus. I'm going to add some more wax flower. And this will sit here like so. Give that a shorter cut. Okay. So that's the main roses and the wax flower added. I will add some more wax flower at the end. I like to go around and just fill in any gaps or add them wherever I think they look really pretty. So now what we need to do is add some more foliage on top. I'm going to go with some more eucalyptus with the large leaves. And here we've got 2 stems, so I'm going to use that in 2 separate places. Okay, and I'm just going to add this in like so. And these will be hidden and covered up by the flowers as we add more flowers to the display. I also have this smaller eucalyptus, which I'm just going to add in discreetly among the display. I'm going to use single stems or double stems where I can, just so we can control the shape more. Again, so apart from my initial foliage and my main flowers, I don't really have any set rule on the other flowers and additional foliage that I'm using. I like just to create the shape to start with and then go with how the display is looking. Obviously, when I've had to do several pillars in a church or a gate post and there's one each side of the gate, I will make these all alongside each other as identical as I possibly can, placing everything in very similar positions. But as this is just a one-off, you don't have to be as strict with that. Okay, so now I'm going to add some Eustoma or Livianthus, and I'm just going to dot those around as well, filling in these gaps. Okay, so I'm going to add these between the roses on each side. I'm going to take these bigger clusters and add them to where we don't have, oh, should I snap that one? I'm going to add these on the opposite corners where we didn't have the additional roses. Like so. Get a few more of these. So I've just added some more Eustoma in around the edges to add to the shape of my display. So you need to remember, whilst creating and building upon this, you don't want to lose that initial shape or size because it will become messy. So I'll get some more Eustoma. I need a lovely lawn piece. Again, I'm bringing these out so they're either side of the foliage but don't overpower the initial rose. So I'm going to take the leaves off and I'm going to do the same for the top. So they're just coming out on the corners and they're keeping within the shape and the size of the initial template. do love these buds, so I do leave them in. I think they're really pretty and make it a lot more elegant. Let's take another piece and start making my way around these edges. This piece is for a wedding, and it's for a gate post. They're having the gate open and they're having a bicycle or some kind of display later on, so they only want one of the posts with a floral display on, which will look beautiful. I'm hoping to get a picture for you so I can add this to my tutorial so you can see what it looks like when it's hanging in its full glory. Okay, so I think I've got all my stoma there. I think I'm going to just add another piece here and here. Again, it's quite difficult when I'm filming because I'm working kind of upside down and not rotating as much as I normally would. So I'm just gonna add this, and when you are adding flowers, just make sure you keep your finger pressed on a piece of oasis that's showing. No good, I snapped that one. So let me try again. So remember to keep your finger on a piece of oasis and just slide the flowers in gently, like so. Okay, and then another piece down here. Okay, the one that I did snap won't go to waste because I'm going to pop her in on top. Okay, so I think from my other camera you can see the shape of the display, and you can see it's quite overpowering with white flowers. So at this point I'm going to add some more wax flower, like I said earlier. So I'm going to take another piece of wax flower. Okay, so I have some more wax flower, which I did prepare earlier, and the reason I'm saying that is because they come in big stems, and you need to prepare them. You need to cut them down, give them a bit of a trim, and make sure that they're the correct size for the display. So I'm just going to pop this one in here. Just give it a little trim, and I'm going to pop it in here like so. Ooh. A bit more trickier than it looks. So again, I think she's a bit long, maybe a little bit too thick, so I'm just going to trim some additional foliage off and just nestle her in here like so. So you can see that they both slightly stick above the main rose, which is absolutely fine, and we have some foliage here as well. So I'm going to take my other pieces and just work my way around the bottom of the display underneath the stoma, but between the foliage. Okay, so I'm just going to turn that around so you can have a look, and so I can see what I'm doing as well on this side, because it's getting a lot more tricky now to add the flowers to the foliage. Okay, so I'm going to turn that back, so I've got the top here and the bottom down there. So now I'm going to add some Veronicas. Absolutely love Veronicas. They come in various colours. Today we're going to be using white, and I'm just going to give it a little trim. We're going to be adding these in as well to the display. So again, I'm going to have a look, see where the gaps are, and add some of these in as and when. A little bit too long. That's better. So let's grab some Veronicas. Take off some of these leaves and place another one in here. So with these displays as well, you can make them as floral as you like. Some people like to use lots of foliage and less flowers, and some people like mainly a floral display. And today's display is all about flowers and having more floral. She's starting to look really nice. Take some more Veronica's maybe out. Remove some of these leaves. And you can see on these they've got the little buds coming through as well here. And the Veronicas are hundreds of little tiny flowers in a cluster. I'll put some more here. I just think they give them a different shape and a different texture to the main bouquet, to the main display. So the bridal bouquet was very similar to this, using the same flowers but slightly different foliage. So we like to keep the theme the same throughout. I think she's a little bit long as well. It's hard to tell when you first cut them until you start inserting them into the oasis. Okay, so I think they look very nice. And I'm now just going to take some around the edge, so I'm just going to cut these ones off, like so. Put these ones in down here. That's lovely. And I'm just going to move this around. I think that will give it the perfect shape. And another one in underneath. Okay, so if I turn my display back round, so I have the top here. I always work with the top on my left hand side. And now we can use some gypsophilia to fill in some of these gaps and some more foliage as and when needed. But I like to add the gypsophilia in first, and then you can see where the gaps are, just to fill it in so we don't see any of this green oasis. So I'm going to start on the top and then work my way round. And these are quite dainty stems, you have to be careful when you're popping these in. Get some bigger clusters around this side. And you need to make sure you keep that shape the whole time that you're arranging your flowers, and you're not overwhelming just on the centre, on the top, and you're evenly placing your flowers throughout the depth of your display. Start here actually. Okay, let's turn it that way. And I'm going to turn it just so I can see what I'm doing. Work my way back around to the other side. And a little bit more down here. And I think we have completed the baby breath. turning it back again. So I've got the top on my left hand side. So now I'm going to take some more eucalyptus and just fill in any gaps. So again, I only need a couple of leaves for the top, and I'm just going to poke them in between the flowers. So just a couple more pieces of the finer foliage, and I think this looks very beautiful. It's very discreet and it just pops through the roses and the foliage, giving it a really elegant finish to the display. And it smells amazing, it really does. I wish you could smell it. These are fiddly because they're very delicate little stems as well. But you want to make sure they go in far enough so they're secure, because again, a lot of these displays are secured outside, so it can be windy. Obviously in the UK we can get lots of rain, so you need to make sure that the stems are nice and secure. Okay, so I've got some more bits here which I kept from earlier, and these can just go in around the corners. You've also got to make sure you don't squash the bouquet when you're leaning over. You also run out of room to put your hands. I think I want a couple more pieces on top. I don't actually like that leaf, so I'm going to cut that one off. Got the wax flower. I just think these look nice around the roses because they really stand out. Okay, and I think that is my display completed. Okay, so this is my beautiful display finished. Please give it a go. It's very simple to do, makes a huge difference in any ugly, open, empty space, and I will upload a before and after picture for you, and just so you can see the difference. Often I do hang ribbons from these, especially if they're on pillars, but because it's on a gate post outside the church, the bride didn't want any ribbon on this. She wanted it to be very natural. Please subscribe to my channel, it really does help. I have lots more content coming up for you all with weddings and just home floral displays. So leave me any comments, any questions you may have, and I will see you all soon. Take care. Thank you.